My name is Margaret Green. I'm 72 years old, and I live in a little brick house at the edge of town. My husband, Robert, built this house with his own 2 hands when we were young. He planted rose bushes out front, and every spring, their red blooms remind me of the flowers he brought me when we were courting. Robert and we wanted a child for so many years, but it just didn't happen for us. Then, when I was 37, we adopted Daniel. He was just a baby, and from that day on, he became our entire world. I watched him grow from a little boy into a man of 35. It felt like life had given us a second chance at being a family. Just before Daniel moved to the city for a new job, he handed me a small box wrapped in silver paper. Inside was a simple little phone. It had a green call button, a small screen with his name on it, and not much else. "Here, Mum," he said with that warm smile of his. "This is so we can talk any time. Just press this green button, and I'll answer." I held it in my hands, a little amazed, a little scared. I'd never used one before. I looked at him and said, "Promise me you'll call every day if you can." He squeezed my hand. "I promise, Mom, I'll make sure you hear my voice every day." That little phone felt like a lifeline. The first week was wonderful. Daniel called every morning. I'd sit by the window, tea in hand, waiting for that cheerful ringtone. When it rang, my heart would just dance. He told me all about his small apartment, his new job, the noisy city streets. He laughed so much, and I laughed with him. The house felt alive again. Sometimes I'd cook his favorite meal, meatloaf, with mashed potatoes even, though he wasn't there. I'd eat alone, pretending he was sitting right across from me, telling me about his day. At night, I'd write in my diary, "My son's voice fills the air again." The phone is my new candle in the dark. But then, things slowly changed. One morning, the call didn't come. I waited all day. The next day, he called. "Sorry, Mum, busy day." I forgave him, of course. 1 day is okay. But then it became 2 days, then 5. The calls got shorter. He sounded so tired. Sometimes I'd hear music or other people in the background. "Just friends, Mum," he'd say. Don't worry, weeks turned into months. I still kept the phone close, always. When I swept the floor, it was on the chair. When I watered the roses, it was in my pocket. At night, it was under my pillow. Sometimes it would buzz, and my heart would leap, but it was never him. Just a wrong number or an advertisement. I started writing to him in my diary. "Dear Daniel, I made your favorite soup today. I wish you were here." Then, one rainy evening, everything changed. I was sitting by the window, knitting, when the phone rang. That cheerful tune filled the quiet room. My hand was shaking so much I almost dropped it. I pressed the green button. "Daniel," I whispered. There was a pause. Then a man's voice, a stranger, said, "Ma'am, are you Mrs. Margaret Green?" "Yes," I said quickly. "Who is this? Is Daniel with you?" The man's voice was gentle. "I'm calling from St. Mary's Hospital. We found your number in a wallet. It belonged to your son." My heart froze. "I am very sorry, Mrs. Green," he continued. "There was an accident, 2 months ago. He didn't survive. 2 months. For 2 whole months, I had been waiting for a call that was never going to come. I thought my son had forgotten me, but he was already gone. That night, I didn't cry. I just sat in the dark, holding that silent phone. The next week, a small package arrived. Inside was his wallet, his watch, and a photo of us, taken in our garden years ago. I placed it next to Robert's picture on the mantel, and beside it, I put Daniel's little button phone, still charged, still waiting. Now, every morning, I make tea for 2. I sit by the window, look at the empty chair, and whisper, "Good morning, Daniel. How's the weather up there?" I still charge the phone every night. Not because I expect it to ring, but because it reminds me that love doesn't end. It just changes its shape. And I like to think that maybe, one day, I'll hear that ringtone again. And this time, when I answer, it will be him.